everybody. It's so good to be here. My name is Andrea and I'm an avid knitter coming to you from a very gray, overcast, chilly day in Los Angeles, of which there have been so many. This is my dog, Juno, who's a very good dog. Yeah, he'll be hanging out, but he's quiet, not like the other one. Anyway, it's so good to be here. It's so chilly here in Los Angeles, which, you know, I'm definitely not used to. And there is so much spring fever in my house. And so the spring fever is a little bit at odds with this cloudy, gray, chilly weather. But it's an opportunity for me to pull out one of my absolute favorites, which is this sweater. This is the Classic Cozy Raglan by Jessie Made Designs. And it's a wonderful, clear, easy breezy raglan construction. It's knitted top down. And I believe I knit maybe this, I don't know, small or medium. I reach for this pretty much at least once or twice a week when it's winter. And sometimes, you know, obviously when it's cold, which is, yeah. So I'm in love with this sweater. And I'm in love with it because of the kind of simple design, but I'm also in love with it because this fabric is insanely yum on the skin. So I knit this using Purl Soho's linen quill, which I'm sure we're all familiar with during the half and half triangle wrap craze, which probably is endless, right? Anyway, so I love this yarn, and I paired it with Knitting for Olive. I want to say in antique rose or coral rose, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna leave all the details about everything I talk about in the description below. But it is an amazing fit. I want to just kind of, maybe I'll show. So there's like this gorgeous raglan, comes down pretty deep, but I like that. I really like that. And then I may have extended the ribbing because I feel like the days of a crop are over for me. At least they are right now. But it still fits incredibly beautifully. Here's the detail shot of the raglan. It's just very simple, beautiful, highly wearable, which is basically my criteria these days for knitting. I just am reaching for all the kind of basics, all the wearables, all the things that I feel so good in. So yeah, and I have several of these by different designers. So Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits did a totally awesome everyday sweater. I believe hers is not raglan though, it's a round yoke, but also fits perfectly, fits just very well. And then I recently participated in the Lento Cal, which was really fun. That was hosted by Amy Palco and Rebecca Clow. They're both on YouTube. Anyway, that was really fun, and that was actually the fastest sweater I've ever knit. So that was super fun. But I love these pieces, and I'm rotating through them all winter. I just rotated through them. And that's my jam. My jam right now is kind of super for wearable knits that I just want to wear. I don't have to be in a certain mood. I don't have to worry about what I'm wearing on the bottom. That's where I am right now. And it's cool. And most of my life, I was the complete opposite. I've always been super into fashion, and kind of notorious for wearing socks with high heel gold sandals, that kind of thing. So I'm in it. I love fashion, but there is something about, being in midlife. I mean, I hope I'm in midlife. I'm actually 55. Being 55 with the gray hair, and I just sort of am, I don't know, not feeling it. I just want simplicity. I want wearability, durability. I'm becoming very practical, functional, but not without beauty. Okay, let's just all not forget that it can be functional, wearable, and totally beautiful. So yeah, so that's what this is. Cozy Classic Raglan, Jessie made. I highly recommend it. I want to show next a shawl that I knit, and I posted on Instagram this week because I actually also wore this morning. This is the Yoshira Shawl, and I'll just kind of do a little close up. That's part of it. I mean, this is such a beautiful design, and there are really interesting details. For example, and let me see if this will focus on it, but there's like beautiful cabling at the end of the row, or beginning and end of the row. So both have these super gorgeous cable design. There are these very, very pretty flowers that are all varied actually throughout the pattern, and the pattern places them totally asymmetrically, which I really like that. I think that's really cool. I love that about it. So I did wear this morning. That's how cold I was. I mean, look at me. You'd think I'd live in Minnesota. I have lived in Minnesota, so I do know what I'm talking about there. Anyway, it's just yum. I wear it a lot at home. I wear it out. I literally get a compliment on it every time I wear it. So kudos to the designer. And the designer's name is Eri, E-R-I. Her work is probably on Instagram and all over Ravelry, and I just think this shawl is very special, and I would definitely consider knitting it again. The yarn that I chose to knit this in is Plutolopi, and I love the color. The colorway is Oatmeal, and I think it's a great color for a shawl such as this, and I do think this shawl lends itself to pairing with unspun yarn. In fact, I believe the designer, her example is with Newton, I believe. Anyway, this is Plutolopi, and Plutolopi is the first time I've really worked with it. I worked with it in the Saturday Shrug as well. It's a little crunchy, a little crunchy, a little toothy. I've heard that word before. Toothy, crunchy. But I will say that because I've worn it so much, I am noticing that when I put it on now, it's getting softer. And I don't think it's just my tolerance is getting higher. I think it's really getting softer with wear. So don't fear the Plutolopi. It's really nice and it's really affordable, and they have really gorgeous colors. So yeah, so I shared this on social media, and I thought I would just share it here as well. And everything that I talk about, I will be including links in the description box below. So, you know, if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link to the pattern page on Ravelry. And speaking of neutrals, are we speaking of neutrals? We are, because I would call these both neutrals. I wanted, so my next whip I'm gonna show with the needles in the middle, and try not to lose the stitches, is the Winter Lights Shawl by Stephen West. And this is my first Stephen West shawl. I tried to do an MCAL over COVID, but I just, couldn't do it. Just the picking out of the colors alone made me crazy. So, and this is really not me. I mean, when I say, this is really not like a wardrobe staple, I would say. But I will also say that it has been super fun and bouncy, and it's gone by quickly. So there's something to that, really, process. So fun. You know, honeycomb stitch, that's a thing that's all over his designs. Bubble stitch, which I don't think I need to ever do the bubble stitch again. Not because it's hard, I just don't love it. I like these beautiful rays. Sorry, this isn't showing very well. Anyway, but it is lots of fun, and I'm sort of playing yarn chicken. I've had to admit, because I don't like the bubbles, I decided to omit the next section, which is the bubbles. I also am basically running out of yarn, which I'm not even sure where it is. Oh, here it is. This is how much I have left. And I need for sure 2 rows. Possibly more, but I'm not gonna get more. This yarn, I believe, is Madeline Tosh. The great thing about this shawl too is that it's entirely from Stash. So that feels so good. It feels so good to like knit from Stash. And I love the colors, but it's just a lot going on here. It's just a lot. A lot. Do you think I think it's a lot? Okay. Other yarns I'm using are the ever so gorgeous Posh Yarn. And this is a very kind of rusty, burnt orange. I mean, incredible tonal color. So pretty, so pretty. The other skein is, my God, I can't remember. Shoot. I'll post it down in the description box. But it's a very woolly, gorgeous yarn that has like a lot of variation. It's kind of a deep, deep, rich brownish purple, with hits of this kind of rusty orange color. And then this is another Madeline Tosh single ply, which I believe is called Tosh Merino Light, my favorite base that Madeline Tosh offers. And this is, I think, Golden Harvest. And it's so pretty. God, it's so pretty. So I love all these colors individually. Together, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. So my goal, as I was saying before, was to make a neutral Stephen West shawl, which is kind of an oxymoron, I guess, but actually it's not, because I have seen a few incredible low contrast Stephen West designs, and I'm like, ooh, that's actually gorgeous. And someone that is on here on YouTube, Jackie and Carmen, Knitting a Good Yarn podcast. Jackie is highly skilled at pairing yarns that are very low contrast, but nothing disappears, and the outcome is always incredibly stunning. So I'm kind of gonna take her lead here. She showed a really pretty shawl in the most recent podcast, and that's kind of what I'm going for. I can't really do the grays. Like, she does a lot of incredible grays, but I think now that my hair is gray, I can't really do it. But that's okay. So on that note, low contrast. I'm super excited to cast on the Miss Serena tee. Everybody pretty much knows this t-shirt. I'm like bringing up the rear here because this is such a popular design, and rightly so, because it's just so pretty. And so I am gonna make it because it looks perfect for, you know, when the sun comes out. And I'm also gonna do a very low contrast, I think. So this is my idea. My idea is this extra gorgeous color from Nutidin, which was not in the most recent, batch, but I think the one before, April or March. I think April. And March, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I have forgotten the name, and I didn't even write it down. That's really silly, but I'll put it on. It is a perfect sort of apricot, peachy, and if I open the skein, maybe you could see there's like so many varieties of color. I'm not sure that the camera is picking it up. Anyway, it's super beautiful. So this is going to be sort of the main color, and then I thought the contrast color could be also in the same batch, KAROT, which literally means carrot, so I can't forget. And I ordered like 500 grams, so I have lots and lots to play with. But you can see, like, it's kind of greenish pistachio. It's got these flecks of like neon orange, but it also has these like beautiful brush strokes of this color, like the apricot. So I thought that would be very pretty together. Then I saw Grocery Girls, which I am also bringing up the rear on that. Grocery Girls podcast is so hilarious, and it takes like a week to watch, but because they tend to be sort of long, but they are just chock full of hilarity and also insane knitting stuff. So I believe it's Tracy was showing her Miss Arena, and it was made with Farmer's Daughter fiber and a special spin cycle colorway, and it was literally the most gorgeous thing. It looks like a gem, like it's stunning. So that's kind of what got me like, oh yeah, I got to go back in the archives and dig out that totally wonderful pattern that I bought so long ago and never knit. So that was kind of the catalyst, seeing hers. And I think it's a perfect opportunity to use these two together. Okay, but hers uses this spin cycle color shifting yarn. And okay, this is something I received. I believe that they are called Lucky Charms, and it's just like a little treat that comes with your Nutidin order. And this came with this batch. And it's a kind of a color shifter. So I'm gonna kind of try to pull it apart. So it has this darkish green, and it goes to kind of a lighter pistachio color. Oh God, I don't want to mess it up. Anyway, suddenly I was kind of like, oh, well, should I do this for the colorwork flowers? And even if I run out, that's okay, because I'll have this. Or, oh my God, do I really just stay with this? My low contrast friends. I'd love to know what you think, and I wish I could show you these in real color, because it is just like unreal how stunning these are. Stunning. And they're so soft. They're so soft. Did I drop something? Okay, no. So, color shifting, or just keep it all low contrast. I have another thing that I'm going to be casting on after I finish this Stephen West shawl, and it's called Moon Whistle. It's also a shawl by Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits, and unfortunately I do not have a photograph of it, but I feel like it's pretty popular. It's a gorgeous, kind of very squishy fabric. It has some stripes in it. She uses a worsted weight yarn in 3 different colors, and she does a dark color, a light color, and then she uses a spin cycle, which is sort of that lovely color shifting yarn. So I thought, well, I had this pattern already, and I thought this would be an amazing also opportunity to do, inspired by Jackie from Knitting a Good Yarn, a very low contrast shawl that I know I will wear all the time. So here are my colors. My colors are these 3. This one you haven't seen yet, but you've seen these 2. And this is actually interesting to hold these up together because they are related. And that's the really cool thing about Carolyn is that they always talk about the relationship that they have, the colors have. So this again is Piquant. This one I'm going to list below because I can't recall, but it's like a very pale apricot. And then this is Skimped, which is a really gorgeous brown that has like a ton of other sweet things in it. There's like a lot of rust, a lot of even like this color. So I thought this would be a really nice combo. I mean, maybe this is pretty high contrast. I don't know. But I thought this would be gorgeous, and I know I would wear it. So that's my plan for my next shawl. And yeah, it's really fun to have plans. I find it's very, for me, it's super motivating to get through what I'm working on. This year especially, I have made a commitment to only really working on a couple projects at a time. And by two, I mean a big project and some socks. And actually, I'll show you the socks because I have them in process, and I think I've shown them on here before. But that's a commitment that I made to myself because I have a closet full of whips. And so when the year changed, I just thought, you know, I need to go back and I need to finish those whips, number one. And then I just need to kind of set some boundaries. And that feels right for right now. So having these projects that I am so excited to knit is really motivating, as I already said. So the other thing I'm working on currently, in addition to this shawl, are these adorable socks. This is the Primrose pattern, and it's I've kind of modified the pattern a little bit, but I'll just kind of hold it up. It's cute. There's like all these rows of little flowers, and I bet once it's blocked, it's going to be amazing. Two at a time. I can't say enough about two at a time. It's everything. It is everything. And I'm so glad that I didn't kind of stay in the dark about this, because I was a little resistant. But I have a dear friend, Jeannie, who really encouraged me to try it, and I was so impressed with how quickly she was knitting socks. So this is what I'm doing. So a little bit about this pattern. So the pattern itself calls for, it's cuff down. I don't like cuff down. I love toe up, and I love the DRK Everyday sock pattern from Drea Renee Knits. And what I've done is I've kind of taken the pattern, so the charts of the flowers, and I've just applied them to the front of the sock. So when I'm knitting across the front stitches, it's always in the chart pattern, Primroses. And then as I get to the back, I'm just gonna do a straight knit, so stockinette. And I'm following the sort of technical aspects of the Everyday Sock pattern, DRK Everyday Sock pattern, and I'm incorporating this beautiful little detail. And I think that that is kind of a great way to go, because I know I love the toe up construction, and when I see socks that are cuffed down that have these really beautiful patterns, I think I can just even turn them upside down. This is a very straightforward pattern, so it's sort of the same upside down or right side up. But in a pattern like that may have like a stalk of wheat, for example, where it really does follow like getting larger to smaller. I'm pretty sure you can just flip the chart and work it upside down, if that makes any sense. So this kind of combining of patterns, it's exciting. I think it's really exciting. And they're both great patterns. And even if you're a cuff down knitter, I'm sure you would love this pattern. Once I get to the leg, I am going to be working the pattern all the way around. So once the gusset is done, the heel and the gusset, then I will be knitting in pattern for the rest of the way. The yarn, as I mentioned before, is a very beautiful, also this was part of an inherited yarn, from my aunt, which you can't, it's really a bummer that you cannot see these colors. It's like silvery, purpley. I don't know why. Maybe there. And they're very soft and very beautiful, and it's from Posh Yarn. There's one of their amazing sock bases that are sturdy and very soft. So those are my whips. I got a sock and a shawl on the needles. I've already shared what I really want to knit, and making plans for knitting. So I was talking about that, about how motivating that is for me to get through certain projects, because I'm just like, okay, I'm really excited to get to this one. I'm super excited to cast on the Miss Arena. So, but I have these just sitting here on my bed because I like to go through all these notes, you know, maybe before I'm gonna get on here on this podcast. But I'm also fascinated and interested in how people organize themselves when it comes to knitting. And I thought I would share, this is not very organized, so I'm not sure you're gonna find any inspiration here, but I just wanted to share my knitting book, which I started during the lockdown. And it's just become like a wonderful way for me to document everything. So I write down notes when I'm working a pattern in particular. I have written a couple of patterns in here, which, yeah. When I watch podcasts, I always have this notebook, and because podcasts teach me so much about yarns I've never heard of, dyers, etc., sheep farm, blah, blah, blah. I love taking notes while I watch podcasts. So anyway, that's what I use it for. I tried really hard to be a little bit organized, so I put these like monthly tabs on here, but that didn't last very long. So this is kind of how I organize myself. I'm just this person. I'm this person. I have one space, and I love to put all my stuff in it. And then it's very cool to look back on it and be like, oh yeah, I knit that then, or, you know. So I thought I'd share that, and I'd love to know what everybody else uses to kind of track their stuff or write notes down. I think we all have an appreciation for notebooks. And another thing I want to share is how I'm organizing the knits I've currently made. So this is not a wish list. This is actually just like a regular file folder, and on it I'm writing down the knits that I have made, and I'm putting the date that I finished. So Ravelry is a great resource also for that, but I am not very good at updating, and I forget when the dates are, whatever. So it's good for me to have something handwritten here. So, and I only write it down once I've finished. So I'm pretty stoked on my list so far. My list is pretty good, pretty cool. So there were some littles on here, like a hat and some socks, 2 socks. But yeah, so this is what I do. And I'm so curious as to what you do. I love all that stuff. Another thing I wanted to talk about, speaking of organization, is project bags. I mean, does anybody else have a project bag problem? Because I think I'm definitely in that camp. But I'll tell you, the reason I'm bringing these in today is because these are like also kind of a basic staple. And they're so not basic, by the way. But I think these are my favorite knitting bags. And this is not a sponsored plug or anything, but these are made by Bagoo. And these are part of a large travel pouch. And they are easy peasy zip. There's a ton of room in here. They have, as you might know, just the cutest designs. And a set comes with 3 sizes. So there's this big size, which is perfect for shawls. I don't know about maybe a t-shirt size, but like a big sweater, maybe not. It's waterproof. And if you can see the construction, so it's got this little triangles here, so it actually sits flat on the table. It's fantastic, and it comes in 3 sizes. So these are the other sizes, perfect for socks. And this is not did I already say this is not a set? I have a few different sets. In fact, what is in here? Oh my God. Oh no. I think this is gonna be a lonely sock. It's actually really cute. It's like a sparkly sock that I knit using, I think, a cuff down construction, but I don't think this is gonna have a partner, which is too bad. But anyway, the bag is perfect. Perfect size, very transportable. And then it also comes with a tiny, perfect, like notions bag. So I have, like, there's tape measures, there's scissors, there's, you know, a little fix-it crochet hook. This is always inside of this. So, again, I have like 3 sets, I think, which is more than enough. They also make them in solids, which, God, this color is so crazy gorgeous. This is like purple blue. I don't know, it's electric. So here's another one that's just, I think these were in a set together. Anyway, they're just, I don't know, they're perfect for knitters. So I wanted to share that. Durable, fabulous. You can put them in your purse. Yeah, so I think that that's everything. Oh wait, no, that's not everything. I have a question. For everybody who's watching. I have an idea for this podcast that I want to explore, and my first part of the exploration is sort of getting feedback from what people think. So this is not a ploy, okay? This is just, let me explain. So I have mentioned in previous podcasts that my aunt passed away in 2018, and we, along with my mom, had a very strong connected bond over knitting and yarn. And she definitely had a yarn problem. So her favorite dyer was Posh from Wales, and she bought obscene amounts of it. After she died, my cousin sent me massive boxes full of yarn, which was so beautiful, and I appreciated so much. And whenever I'm using it, of course, I feel like I'm channeling her, and I can hear her voice, and I can see her hands, and that's really beautiful. But I'm also, and this is possibly because it's springtime, and there's like a lot of my own feelings of renewal and cleaning out and kind of narrowing in on what I really need. And one of these areas is yarn, because I have way too much yarn In fact, I could not, I've said this before, I could not live long enough to knit this with this wool. And I thought, I've given a lot away to friends, which is wonderful. I love it. But I was also thinking that it might be really nice to kind of do a giveaway here, maybe every month. One skein of Posh Yarn to someone who will appreciate it, use it, give it a life, because it's just hiding under my bed now. And so the idea of someone actually using it and enjoying it and would, I think, be totally awesome. So I'm curious what whoever's watching would think about that. And I don't even know what the process of that would be. I guess maybe through Instagram even. I don't know. But I'm curious what you think. And it really has mostly to do with connectivity. It has to do with kind of sharing, abundance. Yeah. It's this whole community of knitters, near and far. It's one of the most important aspects of my day-to-day life. So, so reaching people, maybe you've never used Posh and you just kind of want to feel it and see it and have an experience with it. They make incredible socks. They make a gorgeous, they're very generous skeins. They're like over 400 yards. And, you know, anyway, I want to share it, and I want to share it here, and I want to know what y'all think about that. So yeah, that's that. So I thank you very much for joining. I'm having so much fun. And I look forward to being back. And please feel free to comment on anything below. I've asked a couple questions on here. If you have any thoughts, I would so appreciate hearing them. And again, everything I touched on here will be in the description below. So I hope everyone has a great day. I actually think the sun is peeking out now. Sun is peeking out, so I think it's a good time to say goodbye.